Let's do this. Let's go live. Let's talk. Hey guys, I'm Alexandra Harbushka. I'm founder of Life with Herpes. I'm excited to be here with you today. I've been going live recently. I do my best to go live every day, but I am a mommy and sometimes that just doesn't happen. Anyways, it's my purpose. It's my gift. It's my ability to be able to go live with you to answer your questions about what it's like living with herpes. If you've been diagnosed with herpes, then you know how devastating, how crushing, how paralyzing this diagnosis can be. And the odd thing is, the ironic thing is, the sad thing is that 80% of the people actually are diagnosed with herpes, and we make it this isolating thing, and when the majority of us have it. So that's kind of the ironic thing. It's just because it's been made to be like, oh, you got it down there, and so you're not a good person because you got it down there, which is complete BS. There is no difference between having herpes up here as there is to having herpes down there. So again, I go live so I can answer your questions. I'm going to apologize up front. I get hundreds of questions when we are live, and I don't have the ability to get through all of them. So if you are on right now and have a question, definitely ask your question. I go through them in order and I do my best to answer them in order. So I'm going to apologize up front if I don't get to your question. I do apologize for that. How do you prevent your husband from getting it? So just to give you guys a background, I've been with my husband since 2014, and he does not have it. Originally, when we started dating and we got together, I was on the antiviral. The antiviral is typically the best way to prevent transmission to a partner. It's according to the FDA, and it lessens the transmission rate by 48%. So by taking that, I at that time didn't get any outbreaks, and it also helps with the with keeping the viral shedding at a minimum. Does it mean that you can still get outbreaks on the antiviral? Yes. Does it mean that you can still have a viral shedding on the antiviral? Yes. Does it mean that you can still transmit herpes while you're on the antiviral? Yes. But what it does is it significantly reduces it, so it makes it your best option. So when we were first dating, that's what I did. At this point, we've been together for a long time. So it is something that at this point, my husband is okay with it. It's not a big deal. And we don't use protection. I'm not on the antiviral. I do take these supplements daily. I take Monolaurin and Lysine that help keep my body fighting it. Internally, like Lysine helps prevent the replication of the herpes virus, so I take this daily. And then Monolaurin helps disrupt the outer layer of enveloped viruses, which includes the herpes virus, and allows it so our immune system can go in and penetrate it. So I take these daily, and I also take other multivitamins to help keep my outbreaks at bay. So it was a really long answer on how do I prevent transmission to my husband. So that's personally what I do. I'm really big into communication. I let him know if I have an outbreak and things of that nature. The supplements I just talked about, they're linked if you wanted to check them out. Hi, Catherine. Sheriff Muchacho said you're not down with the bumps. Yeah, I mean, I completely understand if you're not. This is just here to bring awareness, and ironically, the majority, 90% of the people that have genital herpes, that have herpes down there, don't know they have it. So unless you're getting tested, you're probably not gonna know you have it. On that comment, what can we do to prevent getting it? So if you're someone on here that's like, ew, gross, I don't wanna get herpes, number one, I wanna educate you. It's not gross. It doesn't make us dirty people. It doesn't make us gross people. It doesn't make us promiscuous people. It doesn't make us irresponsible people. It doesn't make us living deviant lives or having a deviant lifestyle. What it means is that we came in contact with skin-to-skin contact with somebody that had the virus. Oddly enough, you have an 80% chance of coming in contact with somebody that has the virus. Now, there's two types of viruses. There's type 1 and type 2. HSV type 1 is most commonly associated with oral herpes. Okay, but now because we do things with our mouth, it's getting transmitted to our partners down there. So a lot of the cases of people getting herpes down there is HSV1. So HSV1 can be it can be oral and genital. HSV2, most commonly associated with genital herpes, is it Is it common orally? It's not as common orally. Does it happen? It does happen. Have I met people that have it? I have. But it does prefer the genital region. HSV1, 67% of the population roughly has it. I would bet to say it's way more. That's a very conservative percent. But roughly 67% of the population has HSV1 and 13% of the population has HSV2. So together that's 80% of the population. With that being said, we can have this conversation of like, oh, the reason why you have herpes is because you were promiscuous, right? That's typically the thought process. You were promiscuous or you had a promiscuous partner, things like that. Opposed to looking at it that way, we have roughly an 80% chance of coming into contact with somebody that has herpes. That's really, really, really high. Really high. We may have it and not even know it. Like I said earlier, 90% of the people with genital herpes will never know they have it. That's really high, right? So unless we're getting tested, we're not going to know. And another thing that's really important to look at is people might think, oh, well, I would know if I have it, or if I'm about to hook up with someone, I'm going to check around and see if I have it. You can't tell who has it. You can't tell who has it. Unless they have an outbreak, but a lot of times outbreaks can be paper cuts. It can be look like an ingrown hair. It can look like a mosquito bite. Are cold sores on lips herpes? Yes. So cold sores, fever, blisters, all that, those are herpes outbreaks. And they can be transmitted to a partner by doing things orally with your mouth. So kissing, doing other things with your mouth, sharing objects. So like if I took a sip of my tea with an active oral outbreak, took a sip, and then gave you a sip in the exact same spot right after, could that transmit it? Absolutely. Can it stay dormant for years? Yes. I mean, that's the goal. We want it to go dormant. Once we get it, we want to keep our body at an optimal, like running on all cylinders, right? We want to make sure we are taking care of our body, taking care of our immune system. That's why I take Lysine. That is why I take Monolaurin to help my body fight it. The other way that it can be dormant that is very interesting is you may have contracted it, say at 20 years old. It may have been dormant in your body. You may have never had an outbreak. And then say at 30 years old, you're under stress or something happens and you get your initial outbreak. So you can contract it. It can be dormant for years and then you get your first outbreak years later. I talk to lots of people that are like, I am in a monogamous relationship. Where did this come from? Or I've been celibate for the last 5 years. I just got this. Where did this come from? So, yeah, so those are things to think about. Guys, if you know anybody that has herpes and you're like, wow, this is really important information, please feel free to share this. This is why I'm here. I'm educating, and I want it to be a really warm, comfortable space for us to ask these questions. I don't want it to feel like a sterile environment. I don't want shame surrounded around it. Nothing is TMI, and this is here to educate and like talk about things. This is one of the reasons why I created the Life with Herpes Secret Society. It's our private online community. When I was diagnosed in 2011, I was alone, right? I like left you get the call from your doctor and you're like, great, I have herpes. Awesome. So my point is, I don't want this to feel alone. I don't want this to be a sterile environment. The number one thing I would do if you were just diagnosed with herpes and I saw that Luke said you just got it yesterday, I would educate yourself. If you educate yourself about herpes, there's so many myths. There's so many preconceived notions around it. There's so many things that we don't know about it. So if you educate yourself on it, you'll realize how many people actually have it, and you'll realize how common it is, and you'll realize how not a big deal it really is. So you realize those things. Then the next thing that would be really important to do is to join a community. So like our secret society, it's a private community. That would be the next thing I'd recommend doing. So what you're doing here by following me, by listening to these lives, by watching my other videos, you're educating yourself. So you're already doing step one. What am I taking? So I take Monolaurin and Lysine. Monolaurin is an essential amino acid. Basically, the herpes virus hates it. It helps prevent replication of the herpes virus. It blocks the arginine from entering into the herpes virus. Arginine fuels it, it feeds it. So Lysine is the like fire extinguisher for the herpes virus. So I take this daily, and then I also take Monolaurin daily, which helps me fight not only the herpes virus, but other enveloped viruses that either are in my body or that I can come across just living life. So taking these two things together in cahoots really does help me with my herpes outbreaks. I do have them linked for you. You do get 10% off if you use the promo code. So it's all linked for you. But those are the two things I personally use. How do you know when you're shedding? So unfortunately, we don't know when we're shedding. Typically, it's asymptomatic. There's no signs, there's no symptoms. It's asymptomatic. So unfortunately, that's when the majority of the transmissions do occur, is when that is happening. So that's why it's really important to communicate to your partner. A lot of us think like, I'm just not going to have the conversation, and if I'm not having an outbreak, we're cool. Unfortunately, it can still be transmitted without an outbreak. If you get cold sores, is that considered herpes? Yes, that's a lot of questions today on that. Yes, cold sores are herpes. If you get cold sores, you have herpes. If you get cold sores, you should disclose that you have herpes, and you should disclose that to future partners. So yeah, there's just a lot of myths about it. What is the two things that you take to help? I just talked about that. What were my symptoms? So I have both. I have HSV1 and HSV2. When I got HSV1 in 2003, I just started not feeling really well. I was 20, so it also could have been like I went out clubbing the night before and things like that. But I started feeling like flu-like symptoms, run down, and then like I got a blister, and it was like all over my mouth. It just covered my mouth. It was pretty intense. So that was how I knew that. I probably had swollen lymph nodes. I probably had a fever. I had to go to the emergency room and get an IV because I was so dehydrated. So that was pretty gnarly. Then in 2011, when I got HSV2, my symptoms were flu-like. So swollen lymph nodes up here, swollen lymph nodes in the groin. And then just the whole area was inflamed. I just was like, ugh, don't even go near there, or don't touch me, or like, my ex-boyfriend, the guy I was dating at the time, picked me up to like give me a hug, and like he swooped in under. Anyways, it was extremely painful. And I just, you get one blister, and again, I got blisters everywhere. So that was how I knew that I had herpes. Why did you stop taking over-the-counter antivirals? So antivirals are not over-the-counter. They are prescription. Over-the-counter would be these types of supplements. So you have to get it prescribed from your doctor. I stopped taking it. I honestly got to the point where I didn't want to be on medication. I don't want to have to take something every day. I believe that our bodies are strong enough to be able to fight it, and you just need to work with your body in order to build your immune system. And that was something I've been willing to do. Has it taken a while? Yeah, it's taken a while. But our bodies are strong enough. So that's why I personally stopped taking them. You've never seen anybody, Can I get it at Walmart? Can you get the Lysine? I'm not sure about that. You can get it on Amazon, or you can just click the link in my bio and it'll take you directly to their website. They ship pretty fast. They're really affordable. They're like $20. It's super affordable. You can get other brands of Lysine, I'm sure, but I've found that the efficacy, the lab that they are created in, the founder of the company, everything about it, I get approached daily on, will you promote this? I have Lysine. I have a herpes thing. No, I say no. This is the only company that I promote because of their efficacy. With type 1, how do you go about informing potential partners? I would just make it something short and sweet and be like, hey, I just want you to know before we, start getting intimate. Well, regardless, I would say if you're going to get intimate with somebody, you should have a conversation about STDs. You should have a conversation about what is this relationship like? Is it monogamous? Is it non-monogamous? Is it I'm monogamously sleeping with you, but I'm not sleeping with other people? I'm dating other people, but just sleeping with you. Like, what is going on in this? What are we doing? And I think just having that initial conversation is going to be really important. Then you have the conversation, hey, let's go get tested, or I just got tested. Is it important to you that you ask your partner to get tested? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If you want to do everything you can to prevent getting herpes, or any other STI, then you should absolutely have your partner get tested and have that partner show you the results. And you should go get tested as well. These things other STIs can have different signs and symptoms in men and women, and they can present different things at different times. Some are asymptomatic, some are not. So if you are someone like me that already has herpes, I did not want to get another STD, period, the end. So I got very adamant. But back to how do you disclose you have HSV1? It's just a quick like, hey, I'm negative for these things. I'm positive for HSV1. I get them orally. It's cold sores. It's extremely common. 2 out of 3 people have them. Well, in fact, like, did you test positive for them? Or have you had a cold sore as a kid? Or did your grandma get cold sores or whatever? Like, yeah, it's extremely common, just so you know, like, it can get transmitted, you know, if we're doing things with our mouth, and just FYI. So I would just keep it short and sweet and simple. And what questions do you have? Why did I stop taking the antivirals? I think I just shared that. I just didn't want to take it. I didn't want to take a prescription anymore. I also took a thyroid medication, and I'm working on getting off of that too. So I'm trying to get off things little by little. I have antibodies for herpes 1, and the person I'm seeing has herpes 2 with protection. Will I be okay? So both of you, in your particular situation, you have the ability to transmit herpes to one another. So if you are type 1 and this one's type 2, you guys can transmit it, the opposite one, to the other person. However, it's not as common to have both types of herpes. I have both, but it's not as common. Typically, your body will recognize the antibody. So when that other virus enters your body or whatever comes in contact, your immune system goes, oh, I know what this is. It's herpes. Like, I know what to do. We don't need this. I already have this. But if your immune system's shot for whatever reason, you can contract both. So it depends on using protection. So for example, if you have HSV1 oral, you can use condoms all you want, but your mouth isn't protected, right? So if you're doing things with your mouth, you're going to want to have that barrier. Or you guys are just like, I don't care, and we can just talk about it. So again, we think we're programmed to say, like, just use a condom, it's going to be fine. Like, just, that's fine. A condom only protects you 30 to 50% of the time based on the location of where your herpes outbreak is. So again, if the person has a herpes outbreak, you know, right there on the area that the condom covers, then yeah, you're preventing it. But let's say, you can use me, for example. I get them on my tailbone. You can use condoms all day long, but it's not covering my tailbone. So again, condoms are great. Absolutely. I'm not saying don't use them, but I'm also not saying, hey, it's going to be your end all be all to protect your partner with a herpes transmission. So for you specifically, I would just say, like, talk to your partner. What do you guys both feel comfortable with? Are you taking Lysine? Are you taking the antiviral? The antiviral can also be helpful. How often do you get outbreaks? Things of that nature. What is shedding? Just like, as we know, recently learning about viruses since 2020, viruses shed. So they shed their viral DNA just like we all shed. Like, my hair comes out, your hair comes out, trees drop their leaves, all that. So the virus sheds its DNA, its viral DNA, and it pops up to the surface of the skin. There's no signs, there's no symptoms, there's no itch, there's no tingle, there's no outbreak, all that. And we're contagious at that point. So, oops. Let's see, let me get to a few more questions. Can shaving cause outbreaks? You know, I have talked to some people that abrasion can sometimes cause an outbreak, and other people, they're like, not at all. So the abrasion can sometimes, like, trauma or abrasion can cause an outbreak. What are non-intimate transmission examples, like skin-to-skin transmission? So again, depends on where you have it. You can think of, again, where do you have it? So I'll use me as an example. I have it on my tailbone. So my husband and I could be cuddling in bed, not being intimate, right? Just cuddling. And if that area is exposed and I have an outbreak, that would come in contact with my husband, right? So other things are potential objects. Now, we're not talking about leaving it around for a long time. I'm talking about if you have oral herpes, you go to put on. By the way, this is the best chapstick ever, the lip balm. Just FYI. So if you go to put this on, let's say I have a huge cold sore, I go put this on, and I go, here, you want some? Right? That would potentially transmit it, right? It's active virus. Here you go. So this is a vehicle in which it gets transmitted. But we don't think about, you know, cuddling or spooning or just anything skin to skin. The vitamins I take, again, these are they're from Palmera Health. I take Lysine and Monolaurin. I take them together, and I do have them linked for you, and they're really helpful. How do you get off your thyroid medication? Well, I don't know yet. I'm not off it totally. I'm working with a naturopath, so we're working with some minerals. We're working with some herbs. We're working with essential oils, making sure that every other thing is working properly in my body. So little by little, I've like lessened my dose. What about the cream like Zovirax? I've never tried it. It is prescription. A lot of times insurance doesn't cover it. And so a lot of times it's really, really, really expensive. Like I said, I've never tried it. What I do instead, and this is why we created the Rescue Balm, is this is something that you can apply directly to your outbreak, especially down there. It helps with the tingle, it helps with the itch, it helps with the pain. It also helps wound heal, it helps soothe, it helps skin repair, it's like antiviral, antiseptic, it's like all the antis. There's peppermint and eucalyptus in here. There's lemon balm, lots of things in here that can help soothe your herpes outbreak. So this is what I personally use daily. Well, not daily, when I have an outbreak, and or I go back and forth. This was my original favorite. It's the Everyday Wellness Oil that also has a lot of great, there's lysine specifically in this, there's tea tree oil, there's orange oil, there's chamomile, there's a lot of great things in here that can help fight it as well. So I go back and forth. So to answer your question about Zovirax, I've never taken it, and I use these products that we created. They're natural. I'm kind of getting into more natural things, and this is specifically what I use on my herpes outbreaks. If you're taking the everyday herpes medication, are you still contagious? So if you're taking the antiviral daily as a prophylactic, are you still contagious? You are, but not significantly. So it's extremely, extremely rare or not common to transmit herpes while you're on the antiviral. It is going to be your best way in preventing transmission to a partner. All right. Should somebody take antivirals if they're asymptomatic? So I can't recommend or prescribe that. I'm not a doctor, but I would say talk to your partner. What does your partner feel comfortable with? What do you feel comfortable with? This is about you and your partner. This is about you and your partner's health together, and what do you both feel comfortable? If your partner's like, no, I'm not going to worry about it, great. If you're like, hey, I personally feel better if I take it, great. If you're not getting outbreaks, my personal opinion, if you're not getting outbreaks, why take something you don't need? Why fix something that ain't broke type of thing. Oral herpes. I rarely get oral outbreaks. I've had it for almost 20 years and I've had 4 outbreaks. In my opinion, there was no reason for me to be on this daily because I didn't get outbreaks. My second oral outbreak was 14 years later. Cool. All right, guys. I am going to go and you have a cold sore right now? Oh, I'm so sorry. Definitely take the lysine. That's going to be really helpful. Make sure you drink plenty of water, take rest. If you order this was really great for herpes outbreaks. I personally use it daily. It's a lip balm. It has lysine in it, 100 milligrams of lysine to help fight it topically. So does breast milk work? You know what? I don't know. I've never tried my breast milk on herpes outbreak. I bet it does. It's a good thing. I don't know. I've never tried it. I should try it. Cool. All right, guys. There are no cures for herpes at this point. So there's no way to cure it. What I'd recommend is having a healthy diet. I'd recommend calming down your nervous system. Anytime I get outbreaks, it's when I'm like, you feel the adrenaline in your veins. That type of adrenaline is when I get herpes outbreaks. So I'd recommend doing those types of things, calming your nervous system, eating a clean diet, taking care of yourself, eating high lysine diets, adding lysine supplements to your diet, finding other supplements like Monolaurin, like Angiographis, which is also really helpful. I would do things of that nature. All right, guys, have an awesome day. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you for all the hearts. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the follows. I just really appreciate all of you for being here and spending your Wednesday morning with me. Could be afternoon for you. Bye.